You could make an argument that Arkansas is a much better football team than Iowa. You can make an argument they're a better football team than Penn State or Cincinnati. And some of these other teams are still kind of sit up there inside the top 10.
Maybe Oklahoma.
Arkansas play better football.
Yeah, maybe
Oklahoma. There's no question. So this is going to be an opportunity week, and you're right. If Georgia dismantles this team, and I say that, I think that would be difficult to do. But if they do, then I think it's more of a relevant conversation, because keep in mind, this week between Alabama and Ole Miss, that thing could be a track meet.
Yeah, you got two games that are going to be exact opposites. I think Arkansas-Georgia is a slobber knocker. I mean, this could be a 17-14 type game, and I think that Alabama game, the over and under on it from Vegas is 80 points. 80. Have you ever seen 80 in a game? I mean, it's not. Of course, last year they went over 100. So, who knows where it goes. Finally, your colleague Kirk Herbstreit, he has Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, and Penn State right now in his top four. And then he gets a little controversial maybe in his next two. He had Cincinnati and Florida. So he has Florida, which is number 9 or 10 in most of the polls, ahead of Notre Dame, ahead of Oklahoma, ahead of Penn State, ahead of Iowa. The Gators, where are you at on that?
I got to be honest with you. I think we're going to look back and we're going to say anybody that had a chance to play Florida early is going to be very appreciative of that, because that team's getting better and better. They're improving. The quarterback play is getting better. I would agree with Kirk in that regard, because I think when it's all said and done, they're going to be a problem, and maybe a bigger problem for Georgia than people think.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. All right, Tom Luginbill has been our guest. Lugs has Texas and TCU this week. TCU lost to SMU. I mean, this should be Texas. This is one of them games where, if they're believing the clippings, they can get bit, but it should be. Yeah. It should be another easy win, I think, for Texas. I mean, this is another opportunity for them to put a big number up, I think.
I would totally agree. And again, that would be 3 consecutive wins in a row for them. You start to get hot. You'd be 2-0 in the conference. It's a big week for Steve Sarkisian. I mean, it really is. And if he can get these kids to deal with success, because I asked him about it this past week. I said, listen, you just came from a place where not only do you have great players, but those guys know how to deal with people patting them on the back. I said, it's been the single most poisonous thing that the University of Texas has had to deal with, and they haven't done it. And he thinks it's the single biggest part of his job right now. And that's coming directly from him. And I would agree with him.
I mean, they're only a 4.5-point favorite over a TCU team that gave up 42 points to SMU. Not that SMU sucks.
I know,
but,
and didn't look good doing it either, by the way.
Did not look good.
It was TCU, I don't know, they still haven't tackled anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Texas will win this game going away if they focused, if they're focused on this and not thinking about Oklahoma, which is next week, you know what I mean? The game before the game type thing. We'll see how mature Texas is, but according to Vegas, you're going to have yourself a really competitive game here. 4.5-point favorite in Dallas for Texas. All right, man, appreciate you. Good stuff. Have a great week.
All right, be good. Take care.
Wow, Texas I start to formulate this stuff, Grizz. You know how I am. When it comes against the spread, I start to formulate this stuff in my head. And I start to look at things, and things jump off the sheet at me. Like this Alabama, that was reported by AL.com that Alabama was this guy, Chris Smith, whoever he is for AL.com, Vegas releases headlines, and he said that Alabama was a 20-point favorite over Ole Miss. I'm like, no, they are not. And he quoted Circa, the Hotel Circa, whatever, the sports book there at the Circa. I'm like, no, they are not. So I went myself and checked it out before I did the Unleashed for today. And according to that Circa, they're a 15-point favorite, and everybody else has them as a 14.5-point favorite. Alabama is not a 20-point favorite. It's fake news from AL.com. They're not and it's still up there. They're not a 20-point favorite over Ole Miss. They're a 14.5-point favorite. And it feels rich. Feels a little rich. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, Justin Ferguson will join us from the Auburn Observer. This ought to be good. Next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Tom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Simple Green is perfect for making your auto, RV, cycling, boating, and other sporting equipment look like new. Visit them at simplegreen.com.
Monday Night Football, the Cowboys hosting the NFC East rival Eagles. Dallas the favorite at home by 3 points. The money line for the Cowboys at -175. The Eagles at +155. The over-under 51.5. Current Super Bowl odds as we come to the end of Week 3. The Bucs, the current favorite, despite a loss Sunday to the Rams, +450. The Chiefs at +500. The Bucs, Rams, and 49ers each at +1100. A week from Saturday, the trilogy fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The two fought to a draw the first time. Then in February of last year, Fury won the second fight. He comes into this one a -325 favorite. Wilder at +230.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Wes Neighbor sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. You know, great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes, we need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is your big game headquarters all fall long. And with our new fall features, every day is game day at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Try our pregame starters, including our homemade onion strings, always fresh hot lips, and our all-new Buffalo Dip and Chicken appetizer. Our main events include incredible chicken, fish, and shrimp selections, always featuring local Alabama Gulf seafood. And don't forget our Sunday Blitz, 11 to 6. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
In 2 years, you can have a career that makes sense for you. Skill up and earn a living working with your hands, or work on the front line of computer information systems and cybersecurity. Get a degree that lets your healing heart take care of people. Help design and manufacture the most advanced cars, machinery, or even aerospace components. In just 2 years, great careers are within your reach at Drake State Community and Technical College. Visit drakestate.edu to apply.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now. and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialist from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
With the help of Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond, I get everyone's morning started with a smile. It has a delicious and hearty combination of the Cheerios you love, whole grain oats, and sliced almonds for an extra crunchy crunch. That's how I set the rhythm for a great day. Look for Cheerios Oat Crunch Almond in your local grocery store.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up today at noon. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of the Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. North Alabama Mortgage, they cover all of your mortgage needs. It doesn't matter whether it's a refi or a new purchase, like what Wolverine Dan is doing. Maybe he needs to talk to North Alabama Mortgage, get the best deal possible in Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee with conventional VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They'll cash out, for you to help you with home renovations or college expenses or any other kind of expenses. Maybe you got a wedding coming up in the family. You know what I mean? You need some serious cash, and then you go ahead and do a refi, and they can help you out with that. It's North Alabama Mortgage. They are VA specialists. They work very hard for our veterans as well. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. Joining us now, Justin Ferguson from the Auburn Observer. He is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Ferg, welcome back. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you, Tom?
I'm fantastic. Very uneventful week this week, I imagine, down on the plane, right? It'd be quiet. I don't think there'd be too much conversation about anything, right?
Oh, yeah. It's always something around here.
Always is something. I'll say this before we get to the quarterback situation. Last I checked, Bo Nix wasn't playing linebacker. I don't know what he had to do with them giving up 300 yards on the ground and guys running up the gut against them like it's there was a sieve. That's as much all the talk will be about TJ Finley and Bo Nix and who starts at LSU and all of that. But the other part of this has to be what in God's name happened for them to get gashed the way they got gashed against the run.
Yeah, it was really weird because Auburn was missing Owen Papo and missing Zakoby McClain, so you had two non-starting linebackers there, and missed fits, gave up some really big plays on that. The defensive line was getting pushed around. And then when Zakoby McClain was able to come back in the second half because of the targeting call he got at the Penn State game completely flipped from there for Auburn's defense. Didn't give up a point the rest of the way, barely, I think only one sustained drive the rest of the way, a lot of 3-and-outs, held Georgia State to hardly anything running the ball. They look like the run defense we've seen the first few games of the season with McClain back. So the issue is that, for Auburn, it's like, okay, well, it's good to have McClain back. You feel like they'd be even better if Owen Papo's ready to go here in SEC play, but it's got to be more than that, right? It can't just be one guy being out like that. So I think Auburn, Auburn was just flat. They were really flat on Saturday on both sides of the ball, especially up front at the line of scrimmage. And Georgia State played some really good, really disciplined football and took it to them. And the defense got it figured out quicker in the second half. It took a little bit longer for the offense to get going, and it's just, I think it underscored the thought that, Auburn's most valuable players on their team might not necessarily be Tank Bigsby. It may be the two linebackers they've got.
Yeah, it goes to the depth, right? Just how thin they are. God forbid there was an injury, something like that, and they're going to lose a guy. So that's where that has to get built up. I had tweeted out that what a bad day for Derek Mason. They were getting gashed in the first half there, and his former team had a running clock going against Georgia. A running clock in an SEC conference game. Not a big endorsement for the place he was at and the place where he's at now necessarily for Derek Mason on Saturday.
Yeah, and Auburn's defense got it figured out in the second half. But the slow start, some of the issues they've had in the passing game. got to be sorted out, got to be fixed. They didn't really change a lot at halftime in terms of their strategy. Probably played a little bit more man defense on the outside with their corners. But Georgia State was really just trying to work the clock and run the ball. And when they fixed that run defense, everything kind of shifted from there. But, that's the thing is like Auburn has got to get off the better starts on defense, and they've got to play better up front and got to have a more consistent pass rush, which they've had a hard time getting going these last few weeks because, it's about to be 8 straight SEC games, and there's a few just unreal good offenses coming up here for Auburn in quick succession.
And it's going to be a really good test for both. I mean, and the sad part about this is that they came off a game against Penn State where I said publicly that they should have went up in the polls. I mean, I was very impressed with the way they played at Penn State. They rose to the occasion. Penn State is supposedly a top 5 team. So if they're a top 5 team, what does that say about Auburn, who hung in with them all the way to the end of that game? And I thought I actually came out of that game with a better feeling for Auburn, but that kind of all goes away after this Georgia State deal. Now, at the quarterback issue, I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong in any way, shape, or form, I feel like part of Brian Harson's ability, it was a gutsy thing to bench Bo Nix at halftime of that game, but Bo wasn't his guy. You know what I mean? He didn't recruit Bo, and I know he's a legacy and all that kind of stuff, but he didn't recruit Bo. He did recruit TJ Finley from LSU, and he did sell him a bill of goods that, look, you're right there, and if we need you to play, and so on. And I wonder how much of that played into the decision, the fact that, he brought in TJ Finley, he did not bring in Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think it might have had something to do with it, but I think the main thing is just like Auburn's offense couldn't get anything going. They needed a spark, and that's what Harsin said after the game. We needed something on offense, and so nothing definitive moving forward about who's going to be the starter on Saturday against LSU. I think it's going to be one of those things that will keep it very close to the vest and work both of those guys out and try to keep as much of a strategic advantage as possible. But yeah, I think Finley, you came in, you brought in Finley to give Nix competition, have him an opportunity to win the job. And Nix, all throughout the offseason, especially in fall camp, was Auburn's best option at quarterback. And it just was not working for him on Saturday. And so you put Finley in, and it took a little while, but, he won the game. And that's what Harsin said after the game. He's like, you got to give the guy credit for coming out and winning the game. Did a better job of handling pressure than Nix did. Really good completion percentage against pressure. Had a couple of scrambles. I had one scramble that was really good in particular. And did a better job managing the pressure and led Auburn to that game winner and that wild 4th down play to win it. So Finley deserves a lot of credit for that. It's going to be very interesting to see what Auburn does moving forward at the quarterback spot because, up until, late in the third quarter of that game, it was Bo Nix's job and pretty locked in. How much does a 1 quarter and some change that as you move forward and you play the toughest stretch of your season coming up?
Yeah, and when they put the package together for SEC Now on the SEC Network, they were able to string together 4 or 5 bad throws by Bo, which we hadn't seen this year. He was much more accurate, it seemed like. He was much more settled in this offense. But it was kind of reverted a little bit back to some of his old deals where overthrowing guys that were open that would have been, key plays and that type of thing. But I wonder now going into the LSU game, almost like, Nix has never had that luxury of being the guy to come in and save the day. And I wonder, in a way, if it wouldn't be a good reset for him and what he would look like coming off the bench if they did start TJ Finley. And if it was sputtering a little bit, he may come in with a totally different, relaxed, house money type attitude and play really well. I mean, it could, in a way, work in his benefit to kind of come off the bench and regain the job that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing for Auburn moving forward that they feel like they have 2 quarterbacks that can run this offense. And we'll see who ends up being the guy as the starter. But, yeah, I mean, if you know anything about the next dude's going to work hard. Dude's not going to quit. Brian Harston said afterwards, you could tell he was frustrated and upset that he got benched because this is an experience he hadn't had before. But he was still trying to pick up TJ Finley, be there for his teammates. And that's that staying positive as much as possible, I thought was a good sign from him. And, yeah, Bo looked as uncomfortable on Saturday as we've seen him all season, and that's including the Penn State game, which is pretty telling, I think. I mean, there was just nothing really kind of working with him, and he was misfiring passes that he would usually make, and the pressure was getting to him a little bit more, and he had a hard time, making plays when pressure came, and that's something that Finley did a good job of on Saturday, and so I think the thing that I'm really interested in seeing from Auburn and from Nix, moving forward was this game an anomaly? Was it was it one of those things where guys weren't ready to play and weren't as ready to play as they should be and didn't execute and things? The team that went to Penn State and played them so close is the one you're going to get more often in SEC play. Or there's some real issues and real problems, and so I think that's what makes this whole situation pretty fascinating. Is that there are pros and cons for both of those guys.
And will he get a chance to show that it was an anomaly? That's what that's the one concern would be. I think from the Knicks camp, I would be. And by the way, you're right. He was 1,000% classy about the way he handled the situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The comments that he made on Instagram, supporting Finley and so on. That's the coach's son in him, I believe. I think that's that's that part of his makeup. I thought he was very, very classy with that. But there is always that possibility. TJ Finley goes in there. He's going home. It's against LSU. He gets the victory. Now he's got to start. And who knows? I mean, some people think this may be it for Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a little premature. If you look at Bo Nix's numbers compared to T.J. Finley's numbers in that game, Finley did a better job of handling pressure. Finley did a better job of the intermediate passing game. But Finley had his fair share of misses as well and missed opportunities. But neither of them hit a deep ball. That's something that Auburn's offense is really lacking right now. And so, I mean, there are some areas where Finley showed some improvement and some separation there from Nix in this game, but it's a very small sample size. So, yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting thing. I think there's a lot of the fan base that wanted to see something new, and they got it, and it ended with a win. So there's a lot of good feelings around it. But yeah, this is going to be a decision that's not going to be made hastily by Brian Harsin and Mike Bobo and the staff. I think it's going to be one that's going to come down to just seeing how these guys react in practice this week, seeing how they perform, and then saying, okay, well, who gives us the best chance to go to Baton Rouge and win right now, knowing what we know and seeing what we've seen, recently. And so, maybe Auburn fans think it's over for Nix. They might end up being right. Maybe TJ Finley just needed a little bit more time to get going and really be that starter quality player for Auburn. But we won't really know for sure until he gets some more time under his belt.
Well, yeah, and you never know, what up until this point, what has he been getting as far as first-team reps? Typically an 80-20 split to the starter. Of course, Brian Harsin made another decision yesterday, and that was to fire his wide receivers coach, Cornelius Williams, after 4 games. Williams will get all of his $600,000 that he's owed for his 2-year contract, minus whatever he might get if he jumps on another staff. That kind of came out of left field, and having been part of staffs for 11 years, that's not because of just something. Something else is going on there. Something else happened there that had to have been a disagreement in terms of philosophy or something for those two guys. You don't just blow a guy out 4 games into or half a year into his tenure with you unless there was something big that went on otherwise, not just the way the wide receivers are not running their routes the way they should or something like that. I don't know what the backstory is there, but that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, it was a surprise. It was a shock. I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. I don't think players at Auburn, I've heard, were not expecting this at all. It kind of came out as a surprise to them. I want to be very clear in talking about this. To the best of my knowledge, and talking to people that I trust about this situation, this is a move made for football reasons. People are going to speculate. People always assume there might be something bigger and even worse going on that might have nothing to do with football here. But that does not appear to be the case with Cornelius Williams. This is a football related issue. Now, like you said, Tom, what all went into it.
Right.
We'll see and find out, I guess, as time goes on. But it was clear that Auburn's receivers have not been on the same page. The first few games of the season, even against Georgia State, you could tell the guys were not getting in the right spots. They were looking to the sidelines a lot, like not unsure of where they are. Alignment. There's been some drop issues that have really plagued this unit, and it just seemed like that unit was not clicking up to Brian Harsin's standards, and they're going to go in a different direction. And I think it's very telling that reportedly the replacement for him for Cornelius Williams, Eric Kizo, who was a former Harsin offensive coordinator, a longtime wide receivers coach, even spent time under Nick Saban, under Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban in Alabama, was already on the staff as an analyst, right? And so they have a replacement in place, and they've got a replacement who's got a pretty good resume. And I wonder how much of this move is, okay, well, this is our offense, this is what we're doing, we got to get this group on the same page, and now turning to a guy that has familiarity with Harsin, has familiarity with this offense and coaching receivers in this type of offense. That's the interesting angle to it. But in the immediate impact, it's, how do the players react to it? How do recruits react to it? I mean, Cornelius Williams was, a key component in recruiting the state of Alabama for Auburn and the staff that is made up of a lot of new guys and a lot of new guys to the area. So it's a gutsy decision, and it's one that I think, no matter your opinion of it, and no matter your opinion of Harsin and the job he's doing so far at Auburn, the ultimate story is going to be told on if it works or not. And so, in the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that wide receiver room.
Yeah, I know. I definitely believe that it is a football decision. I just think that it's a football decision that may have done, sometimes position coaches get out of their lane a little bit, and something had to have happened other than, because you can coach them up and run the routes the way they got to run and all of the drills and stuff like that. For to be a position coach, I wonder if he was embroiled in something with other coaches on the staff. Maybe he felt like Finley should be playing more, and it was Bo Nix's problem that the receivers weren't doing as well as they should. Something along those lines where a coach, an assistant, a position coach becomes bigger than his job, and it becomes, creates some strife within the staff. I don't think it was anything, outside of football, but something went on in that coach's room, in those meeting rooms, that put that particular assistant coach out of favor, to where it became toxic in the room. You don't just blow out a wide receiver coach, you know what I mean? But that's just been my experience in the past. LSU coming off that win at Mississippi State. They had to hang on late. State was coming back on them a little bit there, but LSU hangs on and gets the win. Very, very intriguing matchup here. LSU just a slight favorite, and this is a critical game for both programs going forward for the rest of the season. It almost feels like whoever loses this game could slowly kind of tank into a 500-type season the rest of the way, and whoever wins this game might still be in the mix for an 8-win type season.
Yeah, 100%. And this is a huge game for Auburn. The next 4 games after this are Georgia and Arkansas and Ole Miss and Texas. Like, this is a brutal stretch coming up for Auburn. And so this is a gettable one. This might be the most gettable one of these games coming up for Auburn. This is a key one. This is a key one. Both teams have shown some really bright spots at points this season, and both teams have had some really rough moments and have felt like they've had inconsistency issues on both sides of the ball. So I think these are teams that are very, very similar. LSU, obviously, working with a head coach who's been around a little bit longer. We'll have a home game. We'll be the home team in this game. It is a night game in Baton Rouge. Auburn hasn't won there since 1999. All those factors are come into play. But, this is going to be a game where which team has its stuff together really the cleanest and can put it together, because these are two teams that have been prone to mistakes and have a lot of stuff going on with them and trying to figure things out. Well, what's the best way moving forward on offense and defense for the rest of the season? And so if Auburn can go down there and get a win, you feel a lot better about their chances moving forward. But if they take this loss, it's going to be a tough one, and it doesn't get any easier from there, because you get Georgia at home right after that, and Georgia might be the best team in America right now. So, yeah, that's a tough stretch here for Auburn. So this is going to be a game that I think it's just you got to have clean execution, and you cannot at all afford to look at the line of scrimmage like you did for most of the game against Georgia State.
Always doing a tremendous job for the Auburn Observer. You can check that out. They've got all kinds of information about everything Auburn sports. Justin Ferguson has been our guest. Justin, I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you.
Grizz, just to pull the curtain back just a moment on how the sausage is made, with this 18-6 run that I am on and beat the big dog in terms of picking games with the spread.
Yeah.
A lot is I put my ample gut feeling into it. And when we come back, I want to share a couple of numbers. Look, a couple of numbers now because it's game week with some big games and a couple of numbers that have me already thinking I'm not going to overcook this thing. I want to look at these games and tell you what I think here on a couple of big SEC games. We'll do that next right here at 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
Chad, cue the cheesy Italian music. So you're in charge of the dinner spot, and the family is a hard group to please. Dad wants award-winning 21-day-age certified Angus beef. Mom craves authentic Italian food like great-grandma. Sissy pretty much won't eat anything but fresh seafood. And old life of the party, Uncle Walter, likes to enjoy a cigar after dinner with some live local entertainment and some killer cocktails. So you think you're in a pickle? Well, you're not. Relax. I'm Tom Chapman, chef at Nick's Ristorante at 10300 Bailey Cove Road, just south of Weatherly. We have all that and more. Our friendly and helpful staff is eager to help you Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 5. So, corral that crazy crew of yours and give us a call at 256-489-8280 or tell them to check us out at nicksristorante.com. I promise you, the gang will all think you're a culinary cruise director of awesomeness if you take them all to Nick's. See you soon. Ciao. Okay, Chad, kill that music.
Nick's is for patrons 19 or older.
Maybe the air doesn't blow like it should, or it's needing new tires, or you're just ready for something newer. It's time to move up, time to trade up. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your current car or truck is worth more than you know. In fact, we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't trade. We have nearly 100 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned models to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. They've passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians, come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. It's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your vehicle is worth more right now at Woody Anderson Ford. Corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatedwitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
We know it's lonely at the top, but we don't mind.
National championship number 18. 13 in all. Absolute perfection.
Roll Tide. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide take on Ole Miss at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Our coverage begins at 11:30 on your home for Bama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
People stay just a little bit longer. We want to play.
Yeah, we can't stay any longer. Nick Saban coming up at the top of the hour. That'd be very interesting. See what he has to say going into Ole Miss week. You know, Alabama won that game by 15 last year. And they are a 14.5-point favorite in that game right now this year, which would be in Tuscaloosa last year over in Oxford. But remember, there was no crowd in Oxford. You know, and the other thing you got to remember about that game last year, and Grizz, you remember this, you know, that game in the 8 minutes to go in the game, Alabama's leading 49-45. That's it. It was 49-45. They won the game by 15. They get the late touchdown with a minute to go in the game. They get Najee Harris ripping off a 39-yard touchdown run to win by 15. But that was a 4-point game with 7-8 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that Alabama's a 14.5-point favorite this year with a new offense and against an Ole Miss team that's playing better defense. I don't know about that one. I mean, that is a scary number. But having said that, have you looked at the lines yet? You haven't looked ahead yet at the lines, right? You don't get all into that too much yet?
No, I don't really get into that. Sorry.
Okay. Your gut feeling, just if you were to say off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Arkansas at Georgia. What is your thought process as to what the line would be in that game?
Georgia 10.5.
Yeah.
That was what I mean.
10, 11, 9.
Touchdown and a field goal, I feel like, that they're better.
Touchdown and a field goal, maybe somewhere in there.
9.5, 10.5, something like that.
Arkansas coming off of wins against Texas and against...
is KJ Jefferson ready to play?
Texas A&M. He's banged up, but he came back into the game.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The line right now in that game is 19 points.
Whoa.
That's what I said.
Keep it at that.
That's what I said. My first reaction was 9, 10, maybe something like that. Arkansas is tough as a shoe leather.
Keep it at it.
19 points I can get with the Hogs at Georgia. I'm just saying, I'm not giving you my picks now, but I'm just saying that's how I think. I think, what would I think? And then I look at the line. That feels way too high. Way too high. One of the games that we'll be breaking down this week. All right, coming up next, Nick Saban, followed by Chuck Oliver, Paul Feinbaum, and The Drive. All on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.